guys, welcome back to another Indie Spotlight, and today is going to be a relatively quick review. I actually did do a review discussion with QWERTY over on her channel, so there's the video tag up there for that if you want to do a little bit more in depth. So this review is going to be pretty short, but y'all, this book was so good. So if you've seen the title, which I'm sure you have, I'm going to quickly review Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. It's not a typical book that I would pick up, but we picked it for the Indie Book of February, and I inhaled this book. It's only maybe 240 so pages. Pretty short book in itself, but it's semi-regency period England, low fantasy with some fae and some magic. I consider it a romance, even though the romance was like the subplot, but we'll get more into that. So as usual, we're gonna start by talking about the cover. If you've seen my other videos, you know I love me an illustrated cover, and I expect that all the time. In this case, the light symbolism here with the scissors in particular and the little droppity sparkle stars and stuff is fantastic. I think the style of it, going with almost muted colors, simple designs, almost not quite a cutout, but it feels very period, Regency period, or like a classic book. This is the type of cover that you would see and be like, okay, I know kind of what I'm supposed to be reading, or at least what era. And that's really all I have to say about the covers. I really enjoyed this, and I appreciate this cover, even though it's not the illustrated one that I usually expect, but I feel like it fits the book perfectly. She does use this branding throughout the whole series that she has. It's not necessarily book one in that series. They're more like companions from what I know, but they all have a similar branding. It's great. Love it. Great choices. Moving on to the plot. I'm going to, as usual, read the synopsis here. Oh, okay, I just got excited. Okay. It's difficult to find a husband in Regency England when you're a young lady with only half a soul. Ever since a fairy cursed her, Theodora Eddings has had no sense of fear, embarrassment, or even happiness, a condition which makes her sadly prone to accidental scandal. Dora's only goal for the London season this year is to stay quiet and avoid upsetting her cousin's chances at a husband. But when the Lord Sorcier of England learns of her condition, she finds herself drawn ever more deeply into the tumultuous concerns of magicians and fairies. Lord Elias Wilder is handsome, strange, and utterly uncouth. But gossip says that he regularly performs 3 impossible things before breakfast, and he is willing to help Dora restore her missing half. If Dora's reputation can survive both her ongoing curse and her sudden connection with the least liked man in all of high society, then she may yet reclaim her normal place in the world. But the longer Dora spends with Elias Wilder, the more she begins to suspect that one may indeed fall in love, even with only half a soul. Pride and Prejudice meets Howl's Moving Castle in this enthralling historical fantasy romance, where the only thing more meddlesome than fairies is a marriage-minded mama. So I would say that synopsis is spot on. I feel like it does play a little bit more into the romance plot rather than everything going on, but really there are so many subplots and different elements of this story that are woven so well together. It probably would have been either a spoiler to mention them here, or it would have gotten way too convoluted. So I think this synopsis works really great at giving you Dora and her condition, as well as the upcoming potential relationship with the Lord Sorcier Elias, and also kind of what their struggle is with the society expectations and with all the magic and fairies going on. And so the part that I got excited about was where it says Pride and Prejudice meets Howl's Moving Castle. The imagery that Olivia creates in this book really put me in that similar situation as Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. So whether you've seen the movie or not, I think you can definitely put yourself in that sort of, like I said, England with, high society and everything, with that element of low fantasy magic where it's a thing, people acknowledge it, but it's not like everybody has it, and it kind of has a taboo as well. Yes, Howl's Moving Castle. represent. Building on that with the world, because it is set in like that regency period, I feel like most readers who are familiar with that setting don't need a super like background on everything or like descriptions. Mind you, like I said, this is a shorter book, about 240 pages, so there is not a lot of time to describe all the things that are in society and what cultural expectations are. I'm not saying using as few words as possible, but the author did a really great job of conveying these differences in society so you get an idea, you know what the expectations of others are and how Dora is kind of an exception to that because she doesn't feel the same way, she doesn't quite follow like society's norms just because of her half a soul situation. That doesn't mean she isn't able to feel, but the way it's described is she can't feel short-tailed emotions, but like negative feelings will fester, so they're like long-tailed emotions. They take a while to build up. As far as the other half of the world with the Fae, again, we're not overly doused with information and imagery. We get enough to put us in the story as well as enough of their culture with the Fae themselves. And the nice twist with the Fae is they have very different cultural norms, cultural expectations. In the case of what we would consider immoral, like the way they treat other people, it's normal to the Fae. So it's not like, oh, they don't do it this way, they're bad. It's they don't do it this way. This is how their minds work. And I felt they were very eccentric, but also like very entertaining because of that. So I was very satisfied by all the imagery, all the little accents in the world building without being super overwhelmed. It was really great. Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about is the characters themselves. Like I said, Dora she's probably one of my favorite protagonists in a while because she's so different from the norm. With, like I said, only being able to feel emotions a certain way, her approach and her reactions and interactions with other characters felt very unique and interesting. The Lord Sorcier Elias, he's definitely the trouble boy, and I think it's easy to tell from early on that he's the love interest without being like the love interest. It's like I said, the romance was such like a subplot to everything else that happens, but the pacing is fantastic. So just read it. Just read it. Really, that's the message of this video, is just read this book. It's great. And then the third character that I really enjoyed was Albert, who is Elias's best friend and also forms a really great friendship with Dora as well. So it was so nice to see that friendship in a natural way, the romance build with Elias and Dora in a natural way. So spoiler alert, that happens, it does. And it was such a refreshing story because this is technically like an adult romance, but it's not overly sexualized. It's not even sexualized. Okay, we keep things PG. Yes, we keep it PG and it's great. It's phenomenal, refreshing, delightful, if you will. I literally read this in like 2 days. I could not stop reading it. And it just gives you a feel-good feeling. So if you're looking for something to lighten your mood, kind of show you how a standalone could be written in this sort of setting, definitely check out Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. 5 out of 5. Totally recommend it. Go read it now. It's available on Amazon in several formats. I believe there's an audiobook out there somewhere. I'm not 100% sure, but whatever format you can get it in, definitely check it out. And if you have any other recommendations for indie books to read or review, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.